In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how we can explicitly tell MicroDrop that two electrodes should be considered adjacent. In other words, that a drop can overlap when it's in its relaxed state from one electrode to the neighboring electrode. Now, as shown in a previous video, we can automatically detect some connections by selecting File, Device, Detect Connections. Once the UI becomes responsive again, we can select Device, Load to reload the device. And we can see here that in this case, several of the electrodes were detected to be adjacent to one another, where the gap size was smaller. But there's a larger gap size between these horizontally spaced electrodes, so MicroDrop did not detect that those electrodes were adjacent to one another automatically. Now we can open this device file in Inkscape by clicking Open and then navigating up to the device directory. So the directory that gets open is a log under the device directory. Select that device directory, and we can open up this SVG file. I've already opened it in Inkscape just to save some time. And this shows the device file. I'll refresh it, and we can see that MicroDrop added this connections layer. So if we hide the connections layer, we just see the electrodes. If we show the connections layer, we can see lines drawn on the connections layer between electrodes that were detected as adjacent. To force MicroDrop to see these horizontal electrodes, pairs of horizontal electrodes as adjacent, we then just need to add lines between those pairs of electrodes. And to do that, we can select the Bezier Curves and Straight Lines tool, or you can copy an existing line and just rotate it, and then but then we're going to draw. So I would recommend drawing approximately from the center of the electrode or slightly over from that. You can hold the Control key to lock it to be a straight line, and then double click to end the line. Then the easiest way to do this, you can manually draw each one of those lines, or you can just select the one you drew, press Control D to duplicate it, and then you can use the arrow keys to just move it, or you can move it manually with the mouse. And again, if you hold Control, it will lock it so it stays in line with the original line. Then you can just select both of those, press Control D to duplicate again, and then using the arrow keys or the mouse, holding Control, you can move them again. And then I just do this and then keep doubling, and then that allows you to very quickly fill in connections between electrodes that are regularly spaced. Now you just want to make sure that you go and delete any extras, and if you press 4, it will zoom out to show the entire electrode area. That's just an Inkscape shortcut. Press Control S to save, and now we can verify that those were drawn on the connections layer by hiding the connections layer, and the corresponding lines go away. So we know that we drew those on the connections layer. And to refresh the device in MicroDrop, we can click on the File menu, Device, Load, select that device, and now we can see that there are connections recognized by MicroDrop between all pairs of electrodes. And once the connections are verified, then I would recommend hiding that layer in the UI just so that it's easier to see the electrodes. So you can select the connections layer and click Hide, and they won't be displayed anymore. And now you can see that we can draw a path between electrodes, and you can then clear all routes on a step, and this shows that Now all of the electrodes on this chip are connected together. In this video, we demonstrated how to take a device file, attempt to automatically detect connections using MicroDrop, and then manually add explicit connections between pairs of electrodes where a connection wasn't detected automatically.